Hey everyone, Once Bitten here. So, as part of the Ninth Age Content Team's festivities for the holidays, we ran a hobby challenge, I think is what we called it. So, each of us were to pick a project to work on kind of over the holidays, and the deadline was December 26th to have it done, and then we would post our what we did for the community to see, and people would vote on which they thought was the best. So, because I've been so heavily involved with the Beast Herds book, and because I was so excited by the ambushing possibly drunk giant in that book, I ran out and bought a giant model. Now this was a month or two, probably a couple months ago. It's the first time I've bought anything in such a long time, and it felt great. It's so funny. As an aside, I wish Games Workshop and other companies realized how much players actually do want to spend money. We talk about how, we get our armies and then we don't have to buy anything again. But the fact is, I like spending money on stuff. I like buying some new toy. Anyway, so I bought this new toy. Now, what the picture I'm showing you right now is a game I played where I assembled the giant the Games Workshop makes, and I kind of did it beastie. So he has the hooves and he has the beast head and he has a weapon that I kind of like. And I glued it together and just started playing with it. So as I decided I wanted to make that one, let's complete it. I don't like playing with unpainted models anyway. So if you watched my update, this picture was from that. So basically, the first thing I did was I just kind of base coated them. And it's funny, I'll do stuff like this knowing that it's some of the stuff is wasted. I might rip off a part or cover it up or do something totally different. But I like to get a feel for how I'm going to paint this guy. So I did this, and then I was looking at it. I'm like, well, he just, even with the horns, he just really doesn't look beastie enough. And I also, you really can't tell from this picture because the model is angled up, because if I took a picture of the model, he's always facing down. He has just got horrible posture. It looks like he's kind of bending over to pick up a guy or something, but when you play with him, you just kind of see his back, you see the top of his head, and there's a lot of work and love that goes into painting the front part of him. So I was thinking about ripping him off of this base and modeling him differently to so he just looked, you'd see him better on the table. And then there are things I wanted to do to make it more thematic with being part of the Beast Herds army, with having the drunk or sober special rules and stuff like that. So what I came up with was this. So I ripped him off the base. I put him on a 50 by 100 mil base because I just thought it'd be better. I kind of made just a little hill on the base so I could prop him up. I had to rip his foot off and then reglue it at a different angle. I took green stuff and I put it all over his back and chest and belly, and made fur out of it. Um, so I'm thinking, I was tempted to replace the horns as well. At the end I just didn't feel like doing it. And then of course I grabbed one of the trees that I sometimes use as terrain. I took green stuff and made a root system out of it, and then painted it and put multi levels of flock on there, so the roots look like some of them came out of the ground, and some of them were still have topsoil on there. Yeah, so then I took a bunch of horns from my bits, and I kind of cut them and played with them, and had horns coming out of his back. I actually painted him black and then just highlighted him gray, and it didn't quite work. And then I saw an idea online where somebody did black and then took it to a dark reddish brown and then took that to the bleach bone color. And I thought that worked very, very nicely. I also took a couple of horns and put it on his weapon. So it's obviously a skull, but I wanted a skull with horns to make it a little more beast-like. The And of course the iron spikes going through his weapon. I painted him metal, and that was too clean. I was going to slap blood all over him, but then I decided just to make him look rusty instead. I really tried to make his, I don't know what you'd call it, but that lizardman looking thing on his right arm. I wanted to make it pop with color because, everything in my Beast Herd army is very much flesh colored and or brown. And so with him, I have splashes of black in there, but then I wanted splashes of bright color. So on this arm, there's red, blue, and green, and I tried to do it in a way that I was kind of obnoxious with the highlighting, trying to make it stand out a little bit. Yeah, so there's just another angle of it. I've got the barrel of ale on his on his hip. On the other hip, I got the this hanging skeleton. I think that's from the old Gorgon model that Games Workshop made. So he's got a human skeleton hanging from one side of his belt. He's got a barrel of ale hanging from the other one. This shows the other splash of color on his left arm. Instead of doing it bone colored, I kind of did it like a piece of jade or something. On his left arm, there's a couple shields on there, and at first I just painted them like the top one blue and the bottom one red, and it just looked too clean. So then I just kind of dirtied them up and then rusted them a little bit. So now they actually they don't pop as much as I originally intended, but I just didn't like them being too clean looking. But overall, I'm happy with how they turned out. Um, yeah, and so and then then I put him on the base, and he won't stand upright because that tree hangs out so far to the left. He kept on falling over. So several years ago, my kids were younger. They had gone to the mountains and collected all these really pretty rocks, and my son gave me all of his at some point. He grew out of them. He was like, "They're stupid rocks." He's like, "Maybe you can use them for your hobby," and I never really had a use for them. And so it actually worked well to put a couple rocks on the base. I think it adds a nice splash of color, but more importantly, it adds weight, so this thing doesn't tip over. And actually, when you pick it up, I mean, this thing is tall. I don't know how I'm going to transport it. It is probably 8 inches tall from its base to the top of the tree. That's my guess. Probably 8 inches tall. Thing weighs, I don't know, probably weighs a good like half a pound or something. It's kind of funny. Um, Whatever, but it's got heft to it. So I'm really happy with how it turned out, man. I think it's about as good as I can do for my painting skill. This is what you get, man. That's a lot of love and attention and time went into this, and yeah, I'm happy with it. So there is what I am submitting for our content team's hobby challenge for December 2015.